Do something, man. People are questioning you.
Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the Dub Cast. Welcome back to another episode of the Dubcast, breaking down UFC 315. Rejoined by UFC expert and aficionado Shane. Welcome back. Unfortunately, we had to miss you last time. I was sick. I am still sick, as you can probably hear in my voice, but flu game. We're going to dive right into these fights. Before we get into UFC 315, let's recap UFC 314. So we were in the building together, UFC 314, Dave and Buster's. Really a great card. I think probably the best card of the year so far.
Oh yeah. Beautiful. Like it's so many storylines like tying up nicely, but also so many like new open roads. Like Paddy Pimblett, like to see what he's gonna do later on. Like that was like a real staple to show like his full skill set. And then same with Gene Silva, same with the featherweight division in general, like what Diego Lopez, Yair Rodriguez, what they do after.
Yeah. So let's dive into some of the fights we saw. So I actually was doing very well betting wise. I was hitting a lot of bets, but the picks I gave out, I was 3-2, so that brings our record to 27-34. First one that was a miss was Cedric Dumas. I think since that pick, he's been arrested again. I don't really know what his deal is, but Mikhail Ojlejczyk, or however you say his name, that was a good win by him.
Hey, but shout out his Cedric's coach went out there while still, I believe, still battling cancer. Like I don't know if you saw him, but he had I didn't realize it before. I realized after that, like there was a bunch of posts saying that. But shout out to him.
Shout out to him for sure. That was my fight, like driving, had it on the background, so I didn't watch most of it. But
same. Yep.
Respect to that guy. Had the under and Tulio Gore and the Dominic Reyes fights parlay. So that was a nice hit. My girl JeongYeong disappointed after that valiant effort against your favorite women's fighter Zhang Weili, but John Daroba, I mean, is a title shot next for John Daroba here?
John Daroba's who I picked going into that fight. She's just been on a tear. Like I forgot who her fight was before this one. I believe it was that the Lemos fight? I forget. But regardless, I remember in that fight just seeing a lot of promise in her. And while I still think Zhang Weili is just a different level, I don't see her winning that fight, but I think she's the clear contender for the next.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think John Daroba is probably going to lose, but at this point in that division, she's the one who's really got the most credible title shot. So I'm interested to see as a Zhang Weili fan, are you more interested in a John Daroba match or a super fight against, I guess, would it be Valentina if she wins this card or?
Yeah, or Fiorot. And I think, I mean, I believe we talked about this last time I was on the pod about a Zhang Weili super fight. I just don't love her frame moving up a weight class. So if anything, this John Daroba is kind of a blessing in disguise for a Zhang Weili fan, because now it's a new contender that will kind of hopefully bring back the super fight, conversation. And I think eventually it's a good idea for her to do, just to try it and I believe that she could definitely pull out a win. I'm just a lot less confident with her at not a strawweight. The next one up,
I mean, women's divisions, gets a little lost. All right, so moving down the card, I mean, we had Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller, which was a grappling fest. I had the over on that.
Huge.
Any takeaways from that one? I mean, do you think Chase Hooper, a lot of these prospects, I mean, we can talk about Bo Nicol and
I can't wait to talk about that one, because we'll get into that when we get to that. But Chase Hooper, more so Jim Miller, I was very excited to see how Chase Hooper would fight against a fighting style like Jim Miller, because I feel like most of his other fights, while some of them were grapplers, Chase Hooper's not so much, not to the level that Jim Miller is. Like Jim Miller also has just the most time in the octagon, I believe, still, and he's just he's a real veteran, and he's not an easy veteran to beat. So I think this was a real. I don't know about a staple win, but I guess so far in his career, his staple win so far, and I'm excited to see what he does next. Jim Miller, I love the guy. One of the most electric moments was him winning at 309. That was crazy, and yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a good win for Hooper because you see a lot of these prospects are kind of losing their luster and they kind of get fraud checked,
True,
So
especially
we'll have
right
to
now,
see
yeah.
about Hooper. Moving down, we had Dan Ige with the controversial stoppage. This was the big controversy of this
Oh,
card.
this was my parlay ruiner. Everything on my parlay, I just remember now. I was like, what missed on this parlay? Because this was a parlay that missed by one, and it was freaking. I had Sean Woodson just money line, and he was. I believe he was winning that fight too. In my
I think
opinion,
I think Ige was up on the cards that came after, but
he
that was
yeah, the cards had him up after. Yeah, they did actually. Yeah, you're right.
pretty weak stoppage, but it was interesting to see Ige like almost a foot smaller than Woodson, just like cracking him with shots.
Yeah, this card had a lot of crazy like height disparages because it was him, Volk and Diego Lopez were pretty different, and there were some other ones too that I saw that they were posting beforehand. But that was the crazy one.
Yeah, that was just a weird fight to watch. Well, actually, there's one more. So Reyes looks like he's back to potentially being where he was a couple years ago. He gets a win super fast against Nikita Krylov. I thought that was a really good win. I'm rooting for Dominic Reyes. I don't know what you think about Dominic Reyes because he
Love
took.
him.
Okay.
Dude, it would imagine the like storyline of him going up and going up the ranks, like fighting like a Khalil Roundtree or someone later on and keep on building his resume and then getting a title shot and possibly winning. Like that's like a 30 for 30 moment right there. Like what must have happened between the years between his John Jones fight to this now building up of his it is how can you be an MMA fan and not watch this with a smile on your face? That's how I feel.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
beautiful.
excited. I mean, for Krylov, I like watching him too. I think
I like
he'll.
Krylov. Yeah, and it was that's a great win for Reyes. Like Krylov is not no slouch.
Yeah, I
Like
think Krylov will be in some fun fights moving forward as well.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
All right. I think the most heated fight coming into it was Gene Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. I mean, this one was crazy with, seemed like maybe there were some political ideologies mixed in there with the pre-fight stuff. Obviously, Bryce Mitchell got in a lot of trouble for what he said a couple months ago. But
Yeah.
Gene Silva is just unstoppable at this point. I mean, what was that one against in the Cejudo card that was only a month ago? He's picking up wins. He's racking them up. The fighting nerds in general. I mean, we can get into them as a group maybe, but I don't know. Gene Silva is just being a beast.
It literally and he's gonna be a problem for this division because like he's got power, bro. He's got power and he's so explosive. And like I feel like it's the best way to put it. He's just like explosive, and I just and calculated too. Like as all the fighting nerds are, they're all calculated. But like I cannot wait to see him go up in the ranks as well, and possibly get to a title shot, or even just to fight those because Bryce Mitchell is already high up in the ranks. So, or at least I believe he was. He was like,
I think he was like 13 or maybe a little bit higher. I
oh
forget, but
shoot, yeah, never mind.
I mean, Silva's got the hype where it's like people were already. I mean, he was asking for a title shot after, which I think is kind of standard at this point of people to just be like, "Give me the title shot after a couple of nice wins."
Yeah,
But I think he is like 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot, especially if Volk's going to remain the champion, where Volk's fought a lot of those top guys. So
yeah, and it's a great character to have in just like the MMA sphere. Like it's a great guy. He's gonna make every press conference more exciting. He's gonna make every build up to every fight, I feel like, more exciting. Like even when he gets in the cage, like even during the fights, like he's just one of those people that are just crazy. Like I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see his future.
yeah, people were saying that this would be like Bryce Mitchell's opportunity to win would be on the ground, submit him, but then he goes and just submits Bryce Mitchell. Like I thought that was crazy. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Gene Silva has in store for us. Really a big day for the featherweight division because we also had another fight. Yair gets back on track, first win, our first fight in the UFC for Patricio Pitbull. I thought this was kind of as expected, but what were your takeaways from Yair's decision win over Patricio Pitbull?
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of what I expected as well. It I was really I was excited to be wrong about this fight. Like I was like if I'm right about this fight and Yair Rodriguez wins, like nothing against the guy. Before the press conference, before all the stuff with Diego Lopez happened, I was like, well, if he wins, it's just kind of he's going to be back in the loop, and like he's already fought Volk, and he's already fought. No, well, he's fought a lot of the people in the featherweight division, like at the top rank, so it's just kind of tough to put him. But and I would have loved to see Patricio Pitbull get that win and then have his name in the mix of new contenders. But
Yeah.
this is what
I
it
think
is. Like,
I think he joined too late. Like if he joined a couple
yeah,
years ago.
he's just too old now. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But I mean, he could get some fun. I mean, this featherweight division, I think you could argue it's like there's a lot of stuff going on there. So I think you could find a fun fight in the near future.
Oh yeah, totally.
So Patty the Batty, crazy win over Michael Chandler. I mean, I don't even know what there is to say about Patty the Batty. I feel like every card I go in, like, is this going to be the one where he loses and then he just has an even more absurd performance? I mean, this was, I think, his best performance yet.
Yeah.
What do you think of this performance against Michael Chandler? I mean, people are saying Michael Chandler's kind of like that one man out of the top group. So I'm interested to see if he gets matched up with like a Gaethje or like an I don't know who else he'd want to be matched up with there, but
Yeah, for you're talking about Patty to match up or
yeah,
for Michael?
Patty.
Yeah, dude, I would love to. The thing about the lightweight division is it's just so fun. Like, there's no boring fights in the lightweight division, like top 7 or 8, like
Yep.
even top 10 realistically. And I think I think anyone there would be really good. I would love to see Gaethje. I would love to see Arman actually. Arman's probably the best one, just because they also had a small little like internet beef because he was saying like Arman's like a rich boy. Like, why are you talking about me? Because I think Arman first said something about Patty's like fight style or however he looks or something. But I think that's exciting. And again, it's another character that's just kind of exciting, brings more eyes to the sport as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think if somebody's gonna make a run and be like the next, I mean, it's always impossible to say someone's gonna be the next McGregor, but if someone's gonna have that much influence over the sport, I think Patty's in at least the top 3, top 5 of people that you'd be looking at for that. I mean, he's also got the built-in rivalry with Ilya, which we'll get to maybe Ilya's future fight plans in a minute, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if Patty gets one more win, I think he's looking at a title shot, and I'm not even sure to say like he'll lose for sure. Depends on who he faces, but I'm excited for Patty. For Michael Chandler, I don't know what's left for the brother, but it is what it is. I mean, he can just have fun fights in lightweight, I feel like.
Yeah,
Gotta get a win.
dude, I think a great one for Michael Chandler next, although if he loses, it'd be really rough, is Fiziev. I think Fiziev and Michael Chandler match up pretty well together.
Fiziev's matched up against Bahamonde, so I think
Fuck, dude. Yeah, I forgot about
there's
that.
that's the problem with the lightweight too, is there's all these matchups. Like obviously Poirier and Holloway are going at it through UFC 318. I think
Damn.
Ilya is going to be fighting one of Islam or Charles. It's going to be weird. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
that got confirmed. I don't know if you saw the press conference, but that actually got confirmed
yeah.
by Dana White that it's either going
Okay.
to be Charles or Islam facing Ilya.
That's crazy. I mean, they pulled this international fight week out of their ass because there wasn't anything. I mean, there was rumors of. We'll get to in a second. We have one more fight to cover for UFC 314. Okay, so Volk versus Lopes. I think you said this would be like picking between your 2 kids, 2 of your favorite guys, or was that a different fight?
Yeah, no, that was this fight. I was like, it was like watching your parents fight, and you're just like, I don't want anyone to lose here. I just want you guys both to make it up and win. Like it's just, I think it was just a beautiful conclusion. I think realistically, after watching it, like this is the ending that I actually wanted. Like I did want Volk to win, and then Diego Lopez to have to prove himself by going back into the ranks and building up his career again. I just believe it was a little too early for him, but also I don't know. He was on a tear. Like it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before about matchups for Yair. we didn't even talk about the press conference. Him and Lopes. I
That's
think
what I'm
that's an
saying.
easy one you can sign and be a number one contender
I
fight.
think that's if the UFC isn't doing that or trying to figure out how to do that in like Mexico or something, they're crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Volk, it looks like he's gonna be the champ. I think he wants to come back quickly because he knows his time is. He doesn't have a lot of time left on his hands. Looks like maybe Evloev is up next. Um, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think
I,
Evloev deserves a shot? Do you think he'll?
he does deserve the shot. I just
Yeah, I
don't.
think he deserves it.
I just don't like. I was really disappointed in Aljo in that Evloev fight.
Yeah, it was
It was
rough.
close.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up. Let's see if anything else happened. We can go in kind of order since then. I mean, we had Machado Gary versus Prates, fighting nerd. Prates
That was big.
loses. It was a good
Yeah.
fight, but I mean, Prates almost had him last minute. So Machado Gary, I think, is
Dude, I know that was crazy. That was because I had Prates again. This has been 2 cards in a row where I've had one leg of my parlay not hitting, and it was freaking Prates. Oh my god, I was so excited to see that, and he was just so gun shy in the first like 3 rounds. I
yeah.
mean that could have been more Ian Gary being able his defense was better, but I don't know.
I think Ian Gary's like, I mean, he's kind of like Izzy in my opinion. He's just a really good like point fighter, and you have to be like, you have to
Yeah.
somehow like knock him out or have a really good strategy. And I think that was too big of a step up for Prates. I know the fighting nerd type is there, but when you go from Jeff Neal, I think he was supposed to fight, and then you're fighting Ian Machado Gary, that's still
Yeah,
a little difference in
it's
class. But
crazy,
yeah,
crazy jump.
I think Prates will stay around for sure. On this card, also, do you have any parting words for Lionheart Anthony Smith, retired, knocked out in the first round, got
Dude,
clowned?
I was clowning on it the whole time, and then my drunk ass watched that like retirement video they put on, and I was like, okay, he was kind of cool. Like he was kind of cool to have in the UFC. We gave him too much shit. Like it was cool. He's cool, and now he's out. And he'll do some like table stuff, like some reporting stuff, but like I don't know. I gave him too much hate. That was my takeaway. Have a great retirement.
Yeah, I mean, he made fights. I think he had like what, like 50 fights. So you got to respect that he was stepped in short notice. The weird thing was, I feel like he was kind of just like, I don't want to say irrelevant, but kind of lower down the list. And then at 301, he kind of walked into that submission of that other kid, like he got the whatever, and everyone was
Yeah,
hyping him up. And then since
yeah.
then, he just kind of fought a higher level of
Well, before
competition, but
that,
wasn't able to win. I mean,
before
he
that
had
he
the John
did
Jones fight.
he
Yeah,
got the John Jones title. So he went on a run
yeah.
of sorts. Again, I wasn't as big of a fan back then, so I don't really remember what Anthony Smith's come up was like. Um, I might need to look into it at some point just to really see. But he must have gotten some good wins to get that. You don't just throw anyone into a title fight.
Yeah. No, I agree. We'll miss you, Anthony Smith. Happy retirement. I mean, I don't know. People are scared of him on the desk. I guess people say he's bad. I don't think I've heard him on
People,
the commentary.
I've seen some. Yeah, he's not the greatest desk analyst. I think he'd be perfect to be with because he's already done a few episodes with Michael Bisping on. I think he's a perfect like podcast, like a good guys, bad guys.
Yeah, he was
Not
in on
meant,
Good Guy, Bad Guy before his fight.
not made for like good takes, but just viral takes.
Yeah,
Like something like that. I think he would really actually thrive in that and make a decent
he
amount of
could be
money
like,
doing
guy's
that.
a UFC, like, guy's a veteran with my 50 fights, blah, blah, blah.
Dude, yeah, I'm telling you, he did one with or he might have done a couple with Michael Bisping because Michael Bisping always does his by himself, which makes it hard to watch. But
Yeah,
he did it one with Anthony Smith, and it was actually not all the takes were great, but some of them were you can come away with decent stuff.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so besides that, the only other card in between was last weekend. I mean,
Oh, yeah, that one
what was
was
it
big
called?
for me. I was going in there with my 3 dogs, no parlays this one because my 2 other parlays missed by 1 leg. So I went with just 3 single leg parlays. I went with dude, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, but I went with RDR, huge. That was
Yep.
huge for me. I also went with Figgy, who was a slight dog, and Steven why am I forgetting his last name? Steven fuck dude. My fault.
Loader.
No. Jeremy Stevens.
Jeremy. Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if those
Yeah, Jeremy Stevens. Those were my 3 dogs going into it. I think Jeremy Stevens had a great UFC career. I think his bare knuckle boxing career could be a lot more lucrative for him and a lot more exciting,
Yeah.
especially if you're more of a Jeremy Stevens fan. Not me so much, but I don't hate the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Jeremy Stevens on the card, and I was kind of surprised because I mean, I don't know much about him other than the press conference with McGregor, where
Yeah,
McGregor
who
hits
the
him with
fuck
the
is that guy?
yeah. That's really all I know Jeremy Stevens for, and I thought I didn't know if he was good or bad or whatever. With the RDR stuff, I think it's actually like full circle because on this, I think our first podcast together or second, you were like, if RDR wins this fight, I'm gonna be like, RDR is legit,
Mhm.
and here he is. Looks like he's moving up the rankings. I mean, he called out Sean Strickland. I don't think he'll get that fight, but I think he's
You don't think so? I don't.
I think
Or I.
Strickland's matched up with Whitaker, so I'm not.
That's
But
what I'm saying. I'm saying after if Strickland loses that fight and he's like, because after that, what he'd be probably like 8, 9, 10 rank.
yeah,
I think that's within reach of RDR, especially if RDR gets another win in between that time. But I don't think he really needs to. I think if Strickland loses that fight, which I think will be a close fight, I wouldn't. That's like a pick 'em for me. I wouldn't really feel comfortable picking either guy. But yeah, I could totally see that being a legit call
yeah,
out.
I'm excited for RDR. I mean, he got it done, and I mean, we'll see what's next for him at middleweight. The bigger story, obviously, though, is the massive clownery that took place on Bonacol's behalf. I mean,
Bo Nickel, I mean, and the thing is I saw him fight at 309 in person.
yep,
I was
yep.
part of the crowd, the whole arena that was chanting overrated. Like, and I'm kind of a Bo Nickel fan. Like, all my friends are wrestlers. I wrestled for a
I
little
was
bit,
gonna
and
say, I feel like you have some like
like
wrestling
they are all like Bo Nickel
initiative. Yeah,
fans. Like, they love Bo Nickel. So I'm always like kind of like I give him my respect because he does deserve respect. Um, for his accolades outside of the UFC, but in terms of the UFC, he definitely has some growing to do. I watched the Good Guy Bad Guy today. That was they talked about this a little bit, and I kind of agree with Daniel Cormier where he didn't really like how Bo Nickel went on the Ariel Helwani show like right after to kind of defend himself. Like, just go put your head down and get back in the
grind.
room, man.
Yeah,
Like, just
yeah.
grind and then get your next fight signed and prove it then,
I mean, the
and
craziest
then
thing for
say
me
what you
is
went through.
his main card spot at UFC 300 against Cody Brundage. Like that was crazy work looking back on it, but
Yeah, exactly. Like that, all those fights. Like you look back on it, like the fact that Paul Craig and him just had a kickboxing match. Him and Paul Craig had a
yeah,
kickboxing match. Like that, just like I don't know. Like that was something for me that I was like, I could see how someone sees this as, and I can see how he sees this, or even Paul Craig sees this as good fight IQ for neither of them to go in their strengths because they both have the same kind of strengths, but they're like different, same but different. And you know, I'm excited to see what he does next. I'm definitely my coals have run out a little bit on my hype train for him. Like it's not pumping as quick as it was, but it's still chugging along.
I feel like I mean, we lost Talbot, we lost Nicole to the hype train. Like some of
He's a
these
little
guys,
different.
yeah,
Bo Nichols a little different from Peyton Talbot. Bo Nichols like legit like NCAA wrestling has shown uh, to transfer into the UFC, and I think I don't know who he was training with beforehand, but I don't know. I just think he needs a lot more learning to do. He's also pretty young. I think he's only what 24, maybe 25, might be
let's see, I have
23
it.
because he only recently graduated.
He is 29.
Damn! Oh my god,
Must
dude,
have had the COVID years in red shirts or something.
must have been. Maybe he just graduated. I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah, his first fight was in the UFC in 2022. So at that time, he was probably
I want to
26.
know his last wrestling.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Wrapping up the events. I mean, anything on Sandhagen? I know he's in your guy Marab's division. I mean,
Huge. I love Sandhagen. I always thought originally that it should have been Sandhagen Sean versus Sugar Sean
yeah, I think
before
we talked about that.
he got the rematch, but hey, I will take I like Sandhagen winning. I would love to see Figgy win. I like Figgy's match like matchup style a lot with Merab. I don't know what about it. I think it's just because they're similar sizes, and like not so much that I think Merab would just steamroll him, but I just think it. I don't know. But Sandhagen's the one that we really need to talk about because that was really good. A lot of people are saying it's or not a lot. I haven't seen too much saying that it's a fluke, but I've seen some people being like, "Oh, it's kind of like a shitty way to win," I guess. But the way that Sandhagen like described it afterwards, that it's just like a normal grappling transition. You make the decision if you're going to sit up, you're going to break your leg, or you can fall back on your back, and we can continue the grappling exchange. And Figgy
Yeah.
just made the wrong decision there. So I
missed this one, so I didn't see a lot of what would
oh,
happen. But
the ending, like they're in a grappling thing, their legs are tied up, and like Figgy is like stay sitting up, and Sandhagen sits up, and then Figgy just instantly is like wincing his pain. His legs like torn up. I don't know exactly what he hurt, but it just completely injured him.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
do you think a return to flyweight is in the cards for Figgy? I mean, he kind of busted out here, or he's going to be injured. I don't know. I mean, Pantoja's looking for competition down there, so I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how he was with the weight cut. Like, I don't know how much of that was in the decision of him to move up to bantamweight. Because if that was in the decision, then I would say absolutely just stay at bantamweight. Like, if you were killing yourself to make flyweight, just stay. You had a great flyweight career. Just finish out or just continue your career. Don't even finish out. Continue your career in the bantamweight division. There's highs and lows, which he has seen it himself in flyweights. That like, I think, and it's a competitive division that he will be able to find an exciting fight to move forward, and absolutely has a chance to beat a lot of the people in this division. So I don't think he needs to move down to flyweight. If the weight cut wasn't that bad for him, I have no problem with it, obviously, but I don't like it when people make the decision and they kind of like get their bodies acclimated to fighting at that weight and then going back down. But
Yeah,
it's their body, their choice.
true. So there's been a bunch of announcements. I don't want to spend too much time in them because they can easily be canceled. The one I will say, your guy Merab refighting O'Malley booked for Merab versus O'Malley too, June 7th. That'll be the next card covered on the channel. What is your think? There's any chance for Sean here? I mean, you also have Kayla
Abs-
Harrison versus Juliana Pena.
absolutely. Absolutely. There's absolutely a chance for Sean to win. It's all on how much he's gonna back up his walk. Cause even into this, where he's not so much shit talking because he got humbled by Marab, he's more just like talking about what he's doing to get better, which is great if it's all true and he's
Yeah,
all staying completely committed to like working on his grappling game and quitting the stuff that he thinks is getting in the way of his work ethic or just overall physical capabilities. And I think I'm excited to see if he's actually if he actually did this, then he might actually be the star that everyone's talking about, the Conor McGregor that you were saying earlier that everyone's thought that he
yeah.
was going to
He's in
be.
that top 3 or 5 too with Patty. I
Like
mean, he has
he
influence.
actually like if he beating a Merab Davalishvili, like that's crazy. And I think that win, if he did get it, would age like fine wine. Like I
Yeah,
think that would be like the jumping off point of like his actual stardom career starting. But I'm a Merab fan. I think Merab's gonna win, and I think that's not gonna happen. I think he is probably working on a lot of that stuff and probably quit a lot of that stuff. I don't know, or even quit all of it, but I don't know if that's enough to stop someone like Merab. Like he is relentless. He is just, I think, a really great fighter, a
yeah.
really
I
great
mean,
champ.
Merab. I was gonna say Merab's been in like the GOAT conversations for the division already. He's
I
got
love it.
crazy cardio. Yeah, I mean that win over Umar was super impressive.
That's
So
yeah, that was crazy.
I'm excited to see him at work again. I mean, we'll see if O'Malley can do something here. If not, I mean, bantamweight, there's a lot of people there too. Maybe that make that Sandhagen fight. I don't know, but enough time on the fights in the future and in the past. It's time to get to the present. UFC 315 taking place in Montreal, Canada. I think they went back. They're coming back after last year. I think the Strickland Duplessis one was in Montreal. If not, it was definitely in Canada. But
It
either
wasn't.
way,
Yeah.
so we'll start this one out. First fight on the early prelims. It's Brad Katona. I noted the Canadians on the card because sometimes there is
Smart
some
move.
influence from the home crowd. I didn't know. I forgot about the French people because the French Canadians. But we have Brad Katona, who is the Canadian on this fight. He faces off against Bezkat Almakhan. So I'm interested to see your thoughts on this fight, because this feels like a fight that would maybe be like the end of the early prelims. Usually these early prelims are a little bit more, I don't want to say stacked, but like better known fighters, better veterans than usual, where it's like the Dana White Contender Series guys. So what do you have on either of these two fighters?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. If this was like a fight night in Canada, this could easily be a main card even.
Yeah.
I wasn't super comfortable just with both of these guys' like history and like their past fights, betting on either of them direct money line. So not on either of my parlay. This is just going to be the great one to crack the first beer open to, you
Yep.
know? Just
Yeah.
watch.
I pretty much agree with you. I mean, Katona did lose to Marab. That's crazy to say, but
Yeah.
he did fight against Marab. I'm not looking at either side here. I don't know. A lot of people I've seen online are picking Bezkat, but I feel like he's 0-1 in the UFC. He did lose to Umar. I don't know if you've watched that fight, but people were talking about that fight,
Mhm.
him versus Umar. But it's been 14 months. It's just kind of a weird spot, and I'm kind of done with the first fight of the night stuff. I feel like that gets me in trouble a lot, so
Yes, exactly. It
I'm staying
ruins the
away from
vibe.
the
It
side.
ruins the vibe. I only like I agree. I don't like putting any money on the first fight, because also this is like the biggest disparity that I've seen for the first fight. Usually it's like a literal pick 'em.
Yeah. I am looking at over 1.5 though, just because Bezkat. I don't know. It's tough to say as always with the lines, because they don't come out with the lines till like Friday. But if it's
Mm.
1.5, I'm gonna grab the over, just because it feels like Bezkat in his second UFC fight, like they like to take a little bit slower, and then Katona. I mean, he has some just 12 of his last 13 fights have gone to decision, so I think that could be one to look at for an over potentially, depending on what the rounds is. It's all up to Vegas, but that's the only thing I'm
Yeah,
really looking at here. I don't know who wins this. I mean, it's a fight bantamweight. Maybe Katona is like a sneaky underdog, but I'm not putting enough faith in that to pick it. We'll move
totally
down
right.
the card, featherweight division. Daniel Santos faces off against JeongYeong Lee. So this one, I mean, same kind of thing, except these guys are a little bit younger in their UFC and fighting careers. Daniel Santos joining in 2022, Lee joining in 2023. Anything you have on either of these guys that intrigues you?
Um, to
Basically a
be
pick 'em
honest,
here.
yeah, it's another early fight card pick 'em, which I'm just like, ugh, I don't really want to put this on my sports book. I don't like picking either of these. If I'm not mistaken, I believe what I've been hearing is that like uh Daniel Santos is like a sneaky little underdog to throw in there, but I don't know much about either of them, so I wouldn't personally.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Santos for me, I always don't like the long layoffs, and his last fight was in June of 2023, so it's been almost 2 years at this point. He did beat John Castaneda. That is somebody that I know of, but besides that, I mean, I don't really know much about Daniel Santos. And then Lee, I don't know anyone that he's fought either. This is kind of just I mean, it's a pick 'em. Vegas is telling you it's going to be close, so
Yeah,
I'm staying away as well. And then with the submission or with the method of victory, I'm also kind of staying away, because they can mix in both wins and losses of how they've won and how they've lost. So this could be a fun fight. I don't know. It could be like an early knockout and be fun in the featherweight division, and one of these guys is going to get somebody like fun moving up. I'm staying away. So it sounds like you're doing the same.
yeah, same here.
Okay. So wrapping up the early prelims, I think we have Marc-Andre Barriault. He is the Canadian, facing off against Bruno Silva. Um, so with Mark, the Canadian, he took a KO loss to Joe Pyfer, UFC 303. I think that was last either June or July. And since then, he's also been knocked out by Dustin Stolfus in November of 2024. And then Bruno Silva fought in that Abu Dhabi card, lost Ismail Nardiev. This fight is crazy, because you have Marc-Andre Barriault coming in on a 3-fight loss streak, I think, and then Bruno Silva coming in on a 4-fight loss streak. So
Yeah,
let's see.
someone's O's got to go.
Yeah, I wrote a fun one on this. I forget what I said. Okay, I don't think I had it. This is basically like loser is cut from the UFC, and I think it's pretty obvious. So there is
Yeah.
that on the line here. Is there anything intriguing you from this early prelim last fight here?
Again, not so much. It is pretty interesting to see someone like someone's got to figure it out. And it is kind of a recipe when you have like a 0-3 and an 0-4 in their last however many fights fighter coming in, and it's a good recipe for it to be just like not very fun fight to watch. And it being a not very fun fight to watch means that it can kind of go any way usually. And so I don't like betting on these as well.
Well, okay, so I found my thing. I called this a job eliminator instead of a title eliminator because the loser's going to be out of a job
That's
after
it.
this fight.
That is amazing.
But I'm grabbing Bruno Silva. I mean, it's bad. They're both on like kind of a losing streak. So if you get him at plus 125, I mean, he's lost 4 in a row. It's like you got to think he's gonna be throwing the kitchen sink at everything. Granted, Marc-Andre, you can probably say the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'll take the chance in the underdog here. Maybe a first or second round KO. I mean, when he wins, it's by knockout. So maybe he just tries to throw everything first couple rounds. If it doesn't hit, then Marc-Andre will probably win by decision. But I'm hoping maybe there's some intrigue here on the early prelims because I think the other two will go the distance. We get a knockout here, Bruno Silva. I'll grab that underdog money line, and then we'll move down the card to the prelims. Starting it out in the light heavyweight division, we have Navajo Stirling, big favorite here, facing off against Ivan Erslan. So I feel like I've heard the name Navajo Stirling a lot. He
Yep.
just joined the UFC last year. So if you want to fill me in on what the hype is here or what his deal is.
I totally remember his first fight in the UFC. Like I remember watching it. I remember sitting down and being like, first off, the first thing you see is like this guy doesn't. I don't know. I don't want to say that he looks weird, but he just like kind of looks interesting. Like he doesn't. He doesn't like look normal. I don't know how to put it, but I seen him and I was like, okay, this guy, and they're listing his accolades, and again I forget what they are, but he ends up just demolishing the guy, and I was like, okay, that's a name to remember, and that's why he is my first person on my parlay is Navajo Sterling. Is I did actually, yeah, I put him in for minus. I think I got him for less than minus 340.
Yeah, I mean the
Yeah,
odds have been
I got it for
crazy
minus
cheap.
265.
Okay, not bad then. So almost dropped 80 points since then. Yeah, I mean he's undefeated, 6-0. I mean that's like the Bo Nicol record though. It's like very little fights. I mean he is 6-0, but I don't know. I don't know anyone he's faced. He
Ivan
does.
Erslan might be just another Cody Brundage, though. He
Yeah,
might not be the RDR.
yeah. I don't think Erslan's like some crazy fighter either. Because I mean he lost a split decision to Ion Cutelaba, who we'll talk about in a second. That's his only fight in the UFC. I mean this is a good one. Two guys who joined last year scrapping. I think I agree with you. It would be Navajo Sterling. I'm just if anything goes over like minus 300 at this point, I'm not taking it just because of the Peyton Talbot extra parlay throw in that screwed me over. So
True.
as we go here, I'm trying to learn my lessons betting, but I think Navajo is a good bet. We'll see what happens. I do like the over here as well. Two kind of younger guys or two younger UFC guys. I think they'll like try and feel each other out for a bit. So if it's 1.5 again, I'll take it. 2.5, whatever. Erslan is 33 years old, so joined pretty late in the UFC. And then, yeah. So okay, those are our picks for this one. Moving down the card, we have the aforementioned Ion Cutelaba. He faces off against Modestas Bukauskas. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but that should be minus 120 on the banner. But light heavyweight, Ion Cutelaba has been around for a while. And Bukauskas got a submission win over Prachino at UFC 304. Also picked up a KO win over Cercaria in February of 2025. So he's on a little bit of a hot streak. What do you think about this one here in the light heavyweight division?
Personally, I'm not like I know Ion Cutelaba, and I'm not so much familiar with Modestas, but I'm not really betting on this fight. It's also a very close pick 'em. Like I'm not betting on this fight. I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy this one.
Yeah, I think this will be a fun one to sit back and enjoy. I mean, both these guys are pretty good KO like artists. I think this one
Yeah.
will end early. It's light heavyweight division as well. It seems like that's a trend there. I mean, it's not heavyweight, but a lot of KOs in the light heavyweight division. Cutelaba, I don't know. I'm picking against him. I mean, he does have a win over Khalil Roundtree, and also kind of, I don't want to say, I always say fraud check. I feel like that's too broad of a term, but he beat Erslan in February 2025 after he had that nice win at Abu Dhabi. So he is still around. He's kind of like gatekeeper-ish. But I'm gonna go with Bukauskas. I mean, he's been pretty hot lately. He doesn't have some crazy wins. He does have some, weaker losses, but I feel like he's more hot. He's ready to go here. I mean, they are both on a 2-fight win streak, but looking at Cutelaba's overall resume, I feel like when he fights that next level, most of the time it does end in a loss. And like I mentioned before, I do think the under slash this one ends early here, but this should be an interesting scrap. I think, of the prelims, this could be the best fight. Early knockout, maybe a bonus goes here. I could see it going to Cutelaba as well. So move down. Women's flyweight. Seems like Jessica Andrade finds herself in a card like every 2 or 3 cards. This time she's facing off against Jasmine Jasudavicius. Is that how you say it?
It's something like it's it's like Jasudavicius.
Yeah.
Like
So another big favorite here. Women's fights. I feel like we don't love to pick these ones, but I
I
could
love
see this
picking them.
going. Okay, so
I
take it
love
away.
picking them, and I always love picking on Jasmine, and also against Andrade is my. Those are two things that I usually pick on. Is Jasmine long name or Jasmine J long name, and I remember this since because I bet against her once, and she just completely dismantled. I forgot who I bet against her with, but she just completely dismantled the girl, and then I've always bet on her since, and she's been on I believe 3 or 4 fight win streak. Might even be 5 at this point. But Jessica Andrade's a big step up, but also has sold
Jessica
every
Andrade,
parlay I've
yeah.
ever put her on. So I'm completely fine betting against her.
Yeah, this is a weird one for me where, I mean, I don't know why, but that one fight we talked about like 2 or 3 cards ago with Amanda Lemos versus that young Brazilian woman, Jasmine Lucindo maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Ever since that, I'm like, I think I just don't know what's happening in women's MMA, especially in like the middle ranks of
It
it. It's
it
hard to
is
pick.
different.
Like, it's hard to pick
It's
because
very hard to pick. Yeah.
if you like Jasmine, I respect it, but I feel like this could easily be like Jessica Andrade just like kind of sits on her for 2 rounds, wins this easily, and it's like, why did I not pick Jessica Andrade?
Yeah.
She's kind of that UFC veteran. I mean, Jasmine is younger, fresher. She's got some nice wins over Myra Bueno Silva, Miranda Maverick, but 4 or 5 win streak. So Canadian, everything should line up for Jasmine. So I think it is a good bet you're taking, but I'm
Yeah.
just I'm too worried about what potentially could happen here. But
She's those are my 2 so far, are Navajo and Jasmine.
okay, so racking up the parlay. Moving down to the last fight of the prelims, we have Mike Malott. He's the Canadian facing off against Charles Radtke. You have a smile on your face. Is there
I
something?
do. I don't know if have you been seeing the like media around Charles Radtke during this time?
I feel like I saw something, but fill me in.
Dude,
What?
he just goes up to every single press conference, pissed. Just every single media person that he's talking to, pissed because he's like, I fucking I went around or I grew up and I had and my uncle or my grandfather was a veteran of however many years, and every year on Veterans Day I had to plant 600 or however many American flags at each grave. And last time the UFC came to Canada, they booed the national anthem. So I came to make every Canadian fan pay. And I'm like,
Oh boy.
dude, he is coming in there with some heat. So he is my third one on the parlay. And Mike Malott, I think I there's something about the way that he fights where I'm just like I just don't enjoy it. I like it's not that he's not an exciting fighter. It's just I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird fight. It's not that I don't enjoy it. Yeah, I guess that's a bad way to say it. It's just a weird fight style that I don't really understand, I guess is the best way to put it. So I choose Radtke.
Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to oppose you. I went with Malott. I don't know. I feel like Radke, he has some pretty bad losses in my opinion. Whenever I see you lost to Semselberger, I'm like, I don't know if I can bet on you, but
He's
also
got
Gil
that fire.
he does. Looks like he'll be motivated. I think this will be another good scrap too, because both these guys have a lot of finishes. I mean, Malott has over half of his wins via submission. The rest, only one decision went on his resume. And then Radtke has half of his wins via KO and then another 2 submission wins. So it is in Radtke's last 3 fights, they've all ended via knockout. He is 2-1 in those fights. So this should be a good scrap. I'm grabbing the under here too, but I'm taking Malott. I can't trust Radtke. But maybe since you just said that, now I'm gonna have to be a little more locked in. I haven't watched the embedded this week. There was something that we'll get to in the last fight of the night with the embedded that I'm curious to see if you've watched any of the
Yeah,
embedded.
I literally watched them today. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get into that later on. That wraps up the prelims, the early prelims. Kind of skate through those. Not much. I mean, there's some intriguing fights, but I feel like overall it's just okay. But starting the main card, we have Benoit Saint Denis comes back after the doctor stopped just Moicano at over minus 1100 on the money line. He faces off against Kyle Prepolec, coming back into the UFC, where he was in the UFC in 2019, went 0-2, and now he's back in 2025. On short notice, Joel Alvarez pulled out, I think, last week or a couple weeks ago. Before we get into this fight, Benoit should have accepted the Rebecca fight. I think that'd be a great scrap to open the main card here. I don't know if you
Oh
saw.
wow, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
He
Rebecca was calling
declined.
for it. I don't know if he declined it, but Rebecca was calling for it on X. I mean, at this point, it's
Okay.
hard to say like who's actually serious and who's actually not, who's actually getting offered these fights. But
I'm sure there'll be a question for Dana White like post
yeah,
at the end of the card.
I mean, you're putting in a guy in Vegas is saying minus 1150. Like that's absurd. So,
Dude, yeah, no, I bet on this fight back when it was Joel Alvarez, and I had Benoit Saint Denis at plus 160. No shot I'm betting on anyone minus 1100.
yeah, it sucks because I mean, I was going to ask you what the odds were of that fight because this is just like you don't even look at
No,
this
yeah,
one.
you wouldn't touch us with a 1,000-foot pole, but the other one it was pretty much a pick 'em, like plus 160. And I'm like,
Yeah,
Benoit Saint Denis, like he's coming off fighting 2 killers, like 2 killers. I forget. Did he have a fight in between
no.
Poirier and?
So he had the Poirier loss, and then he had the
Yeah,
Moicano loss. Obviously, the Moicano loss, he was ready to go. He just got the doctor stoppage. I mean, I think that was a correct call, but
it was a correct call, but I think that he's been very unlucky, and I don't love Benoit Saint Denis. I've just been kind of seeing, like, dude, he got thrusted to Dustin Poirier, like after beating Matt Frivola.
yeah.
Like, come on. I don't know.
I like Benoit. I think
I
this is
like
going to
him.
be.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a tune-up for him. Obviously, at the odds, but I don't know. I just wish. I mean, him versus Rebecca. I feel like that'd be an all-out war to start the main
Dude, if
card.
that's true, then yeah,
Yeah.
that brings him down a lot in my stocks. Like, not in
It's
terms of
hard
if
to
I
it's
bet him
hard
on
to
this
tell,
fight.
like unless the fighters themselves say, "Yeah, I turned this down." Like Armin last week said he turned down Gamrot.
I
It's
think, yeah, that, or if Dana says it, if Hunter or Dana say that, like, we offered
yeah,
it to both guys, then it's very obvious who declined.
yeah. I'll have to check out. I don't know if Benoit was. Did you watch the press conference or no?
Yes, I watched it. I didn't watch all. I was kind of doing some on my other monitor,
Yeah.
but like I did have it on. And I was looking
Was
back and forth.
Benoit there?
Benoit was there.
Okay, so they did have
Benoit
him there.
was there, and they had a decent amount of questions for him. I wish I paid attention more because I probably would
Yeah,
have heard
I'll have
about.
to.
They
I
probably
always check
asked him.
that out. Usually Friday, and then see what's good heading into the Saturday. So I mean, we both kind of mentioned it here. The picks. I don't know. I mean, over under. I feel like the short notice fights are. It could go either way. Where Prepolec goes in there, gets knocked out in 10 seconds, or like
Seriously, like
conservatively fights it out to a decision.
I swear half the fights that get put into short notice, whether I bet it on them before their short notice or like before the replacement or after the replacement, the person who I bet it on is the person who ends up losing, and it just sucks. Like freaking Prates, I bet it on that was the most recent one, and then there was I bet on Moicano in his fight, and then he got thrusted into fighting
Yeah.
fucking Islam, and I was like, oh my god, come on, my parlay would have hit if it literally wasn't for that.
Yeah, it's rough with the short notice stuff. So mostly a stay away spot. I mean, when I see minus 1,000 or more, it's like not even really worth talking about. So
Yeah, exactly.
if Prepolec gets this win, he's in the bottom of the rankings. I mean, he's coming out of nowhere. He hasn't been in the UFC in 6 years. So
Wait, Denis still in the rank? Is Benoit Saint Denis still ranked?
I think he's like top 15. I'm gonna have to look it up.
He should be because I believe he was 15 when he fought Moicano, I thought, or it might have been 14th.
Let's see. He is okay. So he was actually Joel is 15, so he would have been fighting for
Yeah,
that 15 spot back. Oh,
exactly.
he's
Okay,
13.
yeah.
He's 13.
Oh, he's
Okay.
13. Okay, damn. Okay, never mind. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
dude,
mean,
if Prepolec gets this, huge. There's
he gets a
somebody.
number. That's crazy.
If he gets a number off this, exactly, that is huge. If they don't give him a number, that's bull. That's
I mean,
bull.
yeah. I mean, you have Fiziev is number 11. This lightweight division is just absurd. But
Yeah.
all right, we'll keep moving down the card. Second to last women's fight, former champion Alexa Grasso. I kind of like the pairings they had in this, where you have Grasso and Shevchenko fighting. Obviously, I think Cutelaba earlier had his opponent fight before him. So interesting
it's very,
stuff here.
yeah, I feel like they've been
Grasso,
doing that. Like the last card, they had all the featherweights, and now
Yeah.
this card they have like people in the same.
it's actually fucking logical for once, you know.
Yeah, it makes
I don't
sense.
Here we go, though. Flyweight division. It's Alexa Grasso returning after losing her belt. Obviously, the big trilogy with Valentina Shevchenko lost the decision on the same night. Merab got his championship in the Sphere, facing off against Natalia Silva, another big favorite here. I feel like these odds are pretty disrespectful, to be honest, for a former champion. But I can't roll with Grasso. What do you have to say about this one?
I am rolling with
We're
Grasso.
rolling with Grasso. Okay.
I'm rolling with Grasso. I have a crazy parlay, by the way. I'm kind of very lucky that Benoit Saint Denis got his fight canceled because now I only have a 7-legger, but mine's 8 legs. Spoilers. But I believe in her. Again, this is very disrespectful. This is very remnant of me looking at like I pulled up the thing ready to be like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna bet on Grasso because it's gonna be a pick 'em. Like when I saw Umar like at minus whatever and Merab at plus whatever, I'm like, what? This makes no sense to me. I'm gonna obviously like I don't know a lot about Silva. I just think that this is so disrespectful because every fight of that trilogy, I kind of forget the third fight as much. I don't know why I'm forgetting it as much, but every fight before that was pretty decently close. Like or she won.
The
Well, she
second one
won
was a
the
draw. I mean,
second one was literally a draw.
That one
Yeah.
was. I mean, I still think that was rigged by the cartel, just to be a draw. I guess that would really make sense for them to rig it to be a draw. But I had Valentina on my scorecard, but I also have an affinity towards Valentina, so maybe that was kind of making my
Okay.
bias. But I thought Valentina won the second fight, and then I took her to win the third fight, so I was happy with that. But Grasso's no slouch. I mean, the third fight was kind of. Valentina kind of dominated grappling, but Grasso won those first 2 fights. I mean, it's one of, I think, the only early stoppage loss Valentina's had. She submitted her in that first fight. They think they did almost 4 or 5 rounds. I remember them talking about that on Good Guy, Bad Guy. And then second time they fight to a draw, all 5 rounds. I mean, Grasso's got the experience. She's got the endurance. So you're adding her to your parlay. I think you could take this straight up. She's plus 210 at this point. Her odds are falling.
Genuinely, you could too. To be honest, I just had like 80 cents left in my sportsbook account, so I made this like 2 weeks ago, back after I made my UFC fight night, the protest ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's not dismiss Natalia Silva either. So she's actually beat your girl, Jasmine. She also has wins over Araujo and Jessica Andrade. So she has passed the women's MMA test, beating Jessica Andrade. She has 12 wins in a row and has not lost within the UFC this far. So she's been here since 2022. You know, she's been pretty active. I haven't heard of her before this fight card, which is like weird that this keeps happening with women's fighters. I mean, same thing kind of happened with Tatiana Suarez. I'd never even heard of her, and then all of a sudden she's like undefeated, fighting for whatever. But
Wait,
here we
really?
are.
You didn't know Tatiana, but like before the
Yeah,
champion?
I didn't know who that. I met her.
Really?
But I didn't really know who that was. I mean,
Okay.
I'm still, you know, I
Yeah,
attack one card at a time, and then that builds on your knowledge, you know. So I'm still
Yeah.
some of these people who don't fight a lot, whatever.
No, I get it.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, she has 7 submission wins, none in the UFC though. Can kind of mix it in. I'm staying away from this one, picking a side. I do understand the Grasso sentiment. You have a former champion at plus 210, but it's just too hard for me to be like, I know for sure Grasso's going to win this one when I'm somewhat impressed with Silva's resume. I do like the classic to go the distance though. I think this one goes the distance. I mean, we saw. You don't think so? You like Grasso?
No, I could. It's tough. You say that, I'm like, I could actually kind of see. I would want to see the plus minus on just rounds in general.
Yeah,
because I think that that'd be a lot more doable. It's just doing the over on that. But both these girls, like, they have good submission, and I think that can just pop out anywhere. A submission can in
Yeah,
any
I mean,
exchange, and I feel like it's
especially
gonna be a grapple heavy exchanges.
Silva is Brazilian, so the Brazilians got the submissions ready. Um, However, Silva's last 3 fights in the UFC have gone the distance. Obviously, I mentioned before, Grasso has basically fought Shevchenko for almost 75 minutes. I think it was like 70 plus because you got her in the last round. So I'm
Yeah.
grabbing to go the distance. I'm sure Vegas will have it at like minus 400 for a 3 round fight, but we're grabbing it nonetheless. You like Grasso, I respect the pick. We'll keep it moving to someone I'm curious to hear your thoughts on. It's Jose Aldo facing off against Ayman Zahibi. So big controversy before we were doing these picks together was the Jose Aldo fight. I think maybe one of the top 5 controversies in the UFC. The Mario Bautista fight. What was your takeaway from that fight? And do you think Aldo still got it in him? What's your take on Aldo? I think a lot of people are saying he's one of the most disrespected MMA fighters, UFC fighters still going. What say you?
You well, first off, I'll say what I think about Mario Bautista. First off, I think it's great for the sport. Having this one guy that we can just aim all of our MMA fan anger beams at, and we just say, this guy, and there's not one Mario Bautista fan I've ever heard of, ever. If there's any, please sound off in the comments. But I haven't met one, and or even seen one, like online, anything. And like I think that he legitimately, in the terms of the MMA scoring and everything, I think he won the fight. But I think that was more on the ref to break up, which he
Yeah,
didn't end up doing.
I think he did once and then just let
He
him go
did
right back
once, and
to
then
it.
they got into the same exact position, and then he just was like, "Well, whatever," and then he just didn't. And so I don't know. But this fight specifically, I'm very curious on what you like. I can kind of see why people think Jose Aldo's disrespected, but I don't know. I just don't agree with it. I think that he's very respected. I don't think there's I think both the company and the fans respect Aldo the utmost. He's just that last fight would put a lot of people with the sour taste in their mouth. That being said, I do think Aldo did look a little bit, maybe not old in terms of like his strength, or maybe a little bit slower, but not like crazy slow. He was just crazy fast before. But his fight IQ, I just felt was the biggest thing, like glowing thing in his last fight against Mario Bautista, where like he didn't really go for leg kicks. He wasn't like, when they were in that position, he wasn't trying to win when he was down on the scorecards. And it just like, I don't want to say trying to win, but you know what I mean. He wasn't trying to like change the position and keep
Yeah,
it going. So I personally am fighting on Ayman Zahabi here, or I'm personally betting on Ayman Zahabi here, but I don't know. I could totally see Aldo winning this. However, I think the fight IQ specifically is what's gonna lose in this fight. And I think it'll be kind of starting to be like, okay, maybe we should actually start to retire. And you see the Lionheart Smiths, and he'll see in his layoff into the next thing, or like the you'll see the Dustin Poirier like send off. I'm sure gonna do a huge thing for Dustin Poirier, and
yeah.
they'll do something even bigger for Jose Aldo. Like you don't think so?
I feel like, well, once again, I have to preface this by saying I'm not like a huge. I just got into it recently, but I feel like I've heard his past retirement like was very kind of subdued, and I'm not sure if you have context on that, but
I don't have the most. I know that is the sentiment of it, and I do agree that, or from what I've seen, I can see how that is what it is, and I think that the UFC personally, I think the UFC sees that as well, and they're going to make right. I think they would be
yeah,
stupid to have one of their legends, who they say on numerous broadcasts anytime he fights, a legend of the sport, who is actually a legend of the sport. Like, it is very hard to deny that. And I think that they'll see that and see how mad the fans were, and just be like, we're gonna do something beautiful. I really would be so surprised if they didn't. And I wouldn't have been surprised if he No, actually, when he fought Mario Bautista, he was saying how he wanted to go for another run. I hope that he learns
Yeah.
that's something that he shouldn't do. He could do very more exciting things. Like be
So
he could do many more exciting things.
I with Aldo, like I mentioned before, my origin story getting super back into the UFC was UFC 300. Then you have UFC 301. He's the co-main event against Jonathan Martinez. I had the same sort of thoughts you just had. He's kind of washed up. I think Martinez is a young up and comer, and I think that might have been a 5-round co-main event. If not all 3 of those rounds, Aldo just destroyed him. So
Yeah.
he's one where I'm not going against him. I'm picking him here. Zahibi, I don't know. They're both 38, so I don't think it's like Zahibi's like this young up and comer either.
Yeah, but he's much. I don't know. It's hard to say he's much more hungry because I was going to say Zahibi's more hungry.
Yeah.
But, well, first off, you didn't put he's Canadian.
Okay.
He's
Zahibi's
Canadian.
Okay.
Zahibi's Canadian. And, or he at least had a big ass Canada jacket, and he was saying on the UFC embedded, I'm pretty sure he said that he was Canadian or something. I don't know. He was repping the Canadian flag.
He
The
is
whole time.
Canadian. I missed that one.
Okay, but I don't know. I think Jose Aldo. I'm just so intrigued because I don't think that he's missed a step, and I think he's slowed down very slightly, very minute, like not as much as people say. Like I think he's still quick for the division, and he still has a decent amount of power. I think it's mainly his fight IQ, and I think when it comes to someone who's more hungry to climb up the ranks, even if he may be the same age, and also, I don't know if you've heard of Gilbert Burns' whole take on Jose Aldo's age.
No.
Well, he might be lying. Gilbert Burns said that he started MMA and
He's
Jose
like
Aldo
older
was
than
like
he
3
actually
years
is.
older than him, and then 5 years into the UFC, he looks at Aldo's age and he's younger than Gilbert Burns.
Wait, so Gilbert Burns is older than 38?
That's what I thought he said, or that he was younger than what he said. I forgot what he said.
Interesting. I'll look at
It was something with
Gilbert
the
Burns
ages.
is fighting next week, so I'll take a look at his age.
Freaking, I think this is low key a pick 'em. I don't think this is so Aldo heavy as people may.
I will agree with you there, but I'm rocking with Aldo. I think I kind of saw the Bautista fight a little bit differently. I mean, there were moments in I think whatever round that Bautista won of the first and second that maybe Aldo wasn't trying to do anything, but I feel like in the third he kept trying to break out of it and start taking shots. I thought he was a little bit sharper than, or my perspective is I think he's a little bit sharper than you're saying, but I could see where you were coming from. I mean, he did just lose on the points and didn't really do much about it, but I thought he was trying to do something. I don't think that fight will be this fight. I think this will be a fun fight. I do think this one goes the distance too, which I think could help Aldo. I don't know. It's one of those cases where I bet against Aldo once and I'm like, why did I do that? So I'm just not going to do it again. He's a legend of the sport and he could just pull up at any time. I do agree the odds are a little bit wide though, -210. That's why I'm going to throw him in one of my parlays for later on. I'm not going to take it straight up, obviously, and then we'll grab the distance here. So Burns, I looked it up. He's 38 as well. So both of them are 38. Maybe
That's what it was. They ended up being the same age.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But he said that he's when he started MMA, Jose Aldo was 3 or 5 years older than him. Something crazy like that.
Yeah. That's absurd. All right. So we've gotten through our last non-title fight of the night. We head to the women's flyweight division. Valentina Shevchenko back on top after a little bit of a layoff, obviously the trilogy with Grasso. She comes in fighting against Manon Fiorot. I believe that's how you say her name. And she's the slight favorite. Once again, Valentina, these odds were very similar last time. I think she ended up at +110 on the money line. Now looking at +105. I think some money came in on her because she was +120 to start the week out. I want to start here with Manon because she is, I believe, French, which she'll have the home crowd backing her. I don't know much about her. She hasn't fought in over a year. I think March of 2024. Blanchfield got the win. So give me your take on Fiorot, and then we'll dive into my girl Valentina.
I used to be a huge Fiorot believer. Back when she fought on that fight card when it was Cyril Gane versus Spivak. That was the first time I ever saw her fight, and I was like, dude, she's really freaking good. And then I saw her fight Nama Yunus. I saw her fight, and I would keep on betting on her. And then the Blanchfield fight happened, and I was like, okay, I don't know. and I don't think I think even with how much promise she's shown, I think that Valentina Shevchenko is too much of a step up for her. However, there's something to be said with Valentina Shevchenko, um, fighting the same person 3 times in a row and then having to fight someone who's almost a completely different fight style, completely different frame. Like, not to say that she couldn't adapt to it. She's one of the greatest fighters, easily top 2, top 3 women's fighters of all time. But she's it's tough to see how she's going to navigate that. Cuz I really do think Fiorot and Grasso have such different fighting styles. But I think that Fiorot and Shevchenko, while they don't have they kind of have similar, but not super similar fighting styles, are going to match up really well. And it's going to be a really exciting women's fight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I have something to throw out there. So maybe this is me being biased. I do have some love for Valentina. She's probably my favorite woman fighter. I'm looking at this one exactly like I'm looking at the Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez, where you have a up and comer. Tatiana took a year or two off. Fiorot has took a year off. Walks into a title shot. But which, by the way, what's up with women's fights and them just like being able to take a year or two off and then they get a title shot? I guess there's not a lot of competition up there.
Yeah, there's not enough people in the ranks.
Yeah. But I'm looking at this the same way. I mean, Valentina, I thought usually when I watch Valentina fights, I remember her getting like early knockouts, submissions, whatever. But she was able to pretty much outgrapple Grasso, which I thought was pretty impressive in that decision. Although it was it wasn't the most exciting fight in the world. I'm thinking Shevchenko. I mean, it's the same thing I've said before. I think we both said it. I mean, you had the same mindset with Grasso. When you have a champ or recently former champ at plus money, I'm grabbing him no matter what. I mean,
Totally.
it's pretty
That's why
simple.
she's on my parlay. Even though I'm
Yeah,
a Manuel Fiore believer, I can't. It's a champion at plus money. You are crazy to do that. You are crazy to
yeah.
skip out on that.
I don't know what the deal is there because I mean, this seems like another like for Tatiana, she had like decent wins, but for Fiorot, she has wins over Tabitha Ritchie, Bueno Silva, Blanchfield, Jennifer Maya, Rose, who's like kind of been all over the place. So it's like there isn't that one person that I'm like, holy shit, that's a great win that deserves a title shot, you know. And I guess maybe there just isn't that fight for a women's contendership because we just talked about how there's not really a lot of like big fighters at the top of the rankings, but I'll be pretty upset if I'm wrong about this one, but I'm pretty confident in Valentina pulling it off again at plus money. I just feel like she's getting disrespected again, and maybe since her last fight was a bit boring, they're kind of dismissing her here. Obviously, I am being introduced to Fiorot tonight, so we'll see. Or not
Oh,
tonight, but
really?
yeah,
She's good. She's really good. It's
she's
gonna
got
be a
half
fun
her
fight.
wins knockouts, so that scares me a little bit. But I mean, Valentina doesn't go down besides that submission to Grasso. Granted, also Fiorot hasn't lost since 2018, so this should be a really good women's fight. I'm glad we have like these high interests. Like even with the Tatiana fight, I was back and forth on that one. I know who's going to win. This one I'm a little back and forth on too, but I'm going heart over head. I'm taking Valentina here, and you said the same thing as well.
Yep. And even as a Fiorot, like I would probably consider myself a Fiorot fan. Like I was really big on her when I first found her, and then I was like, oh, no one's really talking about her. And then she started to fight people like Nama Eunice and then Blanchfield, and I was like, oh, guys, you guys are starting to see she's like really good. But I do think that this is maybe not too early, but I think Shevchenko's just got this in the bag. Especially again, as you said, champions at plus money is
Yeah,
just plus money.
I'm hoping this goes back to like plus 110. I think that's what she was at with the Grasso fight. So I mean, plus 105 isn't the best odds, but it's basically like straight up. So I'm here for it. I'm ready to bet on Valentina. Hopefully she pulls through. If not, I mean, I think her time is nearing the end too. I mean, I think she's 38 or 36 as well. So we'll miss Valentina. I'm sure this might be one of her last title fights either way. Anything else on this one? The distance I'm not touching because I feel like both of them. I mean, Fiorot half her wins or knockouts.
Yeah,
Shevchenko can pull. I mean, she can pull submissions. She can knock them out. So I'm just gonna go with the money line and hope Valentina pulls it out in some sort of fashion.
totally. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I would not touch the distance on this.
So main card of the night is the welterweight title fight. Bilal Muhammad returns to defend his championship after did he have a toe injury or something that took him out against
Dude,
Shavkat?
it was staph infection and it was bad.
Okay,
It was
bad
really
staph
bad.
infection. he faces someone that I think was. I was surprised when I saw Jack Della Maddalena's resume. I do think of the top contenders, it was kind of the way things fell with Shavkat being injured, and
Gary
then
being booked.
yeah, Gary's booked. He's the backup fighter for this, which we can talk about that too a little bit.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah. I'm forgetting who else is up there. I mean,
There
Buckley's
was
matched up with Usman.
fuck. Yeah, dude. There was someone else that was about to be. Oh yeah, it was Usman. No, it was it was which I don't know if you watched. Like literally, it was literally an hour before we started this call. They dropped the like bad good guy bad guy, and I watched like a couple minutes into it. They're saying how Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen were both saying how they were fighting to get Kamaru Usman as a title for the next in the like to fight Bilal. Like
Yeah.
instead of Jack Della Maddalena before he got picked. When Shavkat first got injured, they were trying to get Kamaru Usman in there.
Did they
Which
say that with Usman there, or they're just saying
no,
things?
without
Okay.
Usman there, they just said it, and I was like, that's crazy to me. And that's what I think we're forgetting is Wakam Buckley is kind of on a tear as well.
The one I'm looking at now is Sean Brady, but I mean, this fight was
Oh, true.
booked. This fight
He
was
already
booked
fought
before
Bilal
he.
though as well.
Yeah, he took the KO loss to Bilal. Got obviously a very
Priest.
impressive win over Leon. But I mean, looking at these top contenders, I think it makes sense for where this ended up. Obviously, Shavkat's still like an injury kind of no man land after that sort of, I wouldn't say boring fight against Machado Gary, but wasn't as
Super.
exciting as a
Yeah,
result as you'd expect. But
it's close, but again, when we talked about this before, I kind of have to go off of my initial feelings because this is just kind of after it marinating. But when it initially happened, and I should still believe this, is like it it was just showing how good both guys were. Less that it was boring, it was just so competitive and so close. Or maybe not so close, but like it just kind of showed how good both guys were. And it's tough to take away from either of them. I think
yeah,
you are right that it does take away from like his like aura, but like um when you're in the cage, there's aura doesn't really have much of a factors, I would think.
yeah. So I mean, I'm okay with the JDM title shot. It just the way things happened. I mean, I just kind of complained about the Fiorot thing. He kind of sort of walked into it too because I don't know what his last fight was over Gilbert Burns that win. I think it was the same card that Sean O'Malley beat Cheeto at like UFC 298. I think that was like over
Yep.
a year ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, it's
so
actually that one. Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on Bilal because I don't want to say you have like controversial thoughts, but sometimes you do go against the grain with the UFC community, and everyone despises Bilal. So what's your take on Bilal? And then we can kind of dive into this fight versus
It's
JDM.
I've been trying to think of this as well because I am like I understand why people hate him, and I went into the the um the freaking the Leon Edwards fight, and I was like, "Ugh, I don't want Bilal to be the champion. Like that would be so lame. And then it's just something about just seeing this guy just get absolutely shit on by the fans, by the critics, by all the fighters, and he just keeps on winning. Like I get it. Like it maybe you might call the fights competitive or you might call them boring, but like bro, like I don't know. He's won them. He just wins them. Like it's tough to go against the results. And I think the MMA community will soon learn. Obviously, he's cringe. I think a lot of MMA fighters are cringe when they're at like press conference saying a lot of the things that they're going to say. It's just people have their favorites and have their least favorites. And so no matter what they're gonna say, when they say it, it's just cringe. So I think he's so overhated. He is like so overhated. Not that I even would put him in like my top 15 favorite fighters. I just think that he's so overhated. Like we need to chill. Everyone focus that beam back at Mario Bautista.
Yeah. I don't like Bilal, but I'm not like. I mean, the problem was for me that I was very. I mean, you can go back and listen to my UFC 304 video. I was glazing Leon. I was like, because so here's the story of what happened. I loved Usman back when I got into the UFC in like 2021. He was my favorite fighter. So then Leon gets him with the head kick. There's motivational TikToks. I'm like, all right, Leon's the man. I mean, he got a couple nice wins over Colby. I think I bet on him over that. And then so I started getting an affinity for Leon because he beat my boy, you know. So I'm like, all right, Leon's gonna smoke Bilal. Was dead wrong on that. And then, you know, I have people over my house watching UFC for the first time, and then Bilal's just kind of like doing boring stuff against Leon. Granted, I don't have any argument. I know there's like all these people who come after the fights, after like the Marab and Sean fight, and after this fight are like, oh, actually, Leon won like X amount of rounds. It's like, bro, he did not win that fight.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Exactly.
so I'm looking forward to this one just because I want to see what Bilal's actually made of. I know he's like, I feel like he doesn't really walk the walk of his talk. Like, his press this week has been cringy. He's like, I'm gonna come for GSP streak, which I don't know if that's like him just saying that just to like have some like controversial take, or like he actually believes that, or he's just like trying to generate hype around his name or whatever. There was also some. Oh, today he was like, I'm gonna be the next Alex Pereira of the UFC. It's like, I get it. Like, you're trying to be like the people that are the person that everyone hates. It's just like, I don't know. I'm not in love with Bilal.
Yeah, me neither. It's just I do think that he's overhated. I think
Yeah.
people
I
are
mean,
so harsh on him.
that KO win over Sean Brady's aging like fine wine. The dude hasn't lost in so long. I mean, people
Exactly.
people call it the eye poke, but if the ref's calling the fight, I'm gonna believe the ref against Leon the first time. Obviously, they go at it again, and Bilal got so much better training with Khabib. We can kind of, I guess, talk about maybe potentially Islam coming up to this division and facing JDM if Bilal loses. I don't think that's gonna happen, but whatever. I don't know. I'm not in love with Bilal, so my pick for this fight leading in, I'm going with heart over head. I'm not going to put on my actual like picks, but I'm going with JDM. Hopefully, he can get a knockout just to make it interesting. Just that'd be funny. I feel like if Bilal, but I feel like the championships don't turn over that quickly after like one or two fights. Like, people usually defend, at least from what I've seen. So I'm expecting Bilal to win, but I'm betting on JDM on the off chance that he does win, and I can be like double happy because he loses the belt, and then JDM. I mean, JDM's a dog as well. I mentioned before, I was kind of surprised with his resume. He's got a crazy like green
Got a
carpet
really
with
good resume.
his first two fights of his career are his only losses. Ever since then, he's won. Granted, he's only beat like Randy Brown, Hafez, Holland, Burns, who are no slouches, but it's not like he has a Brady KO win or a win over Leon like Bilal has. So what do you
This went
say?
over Gilbert Burns. I'm
Yeah.
gonna blow your mind here. I have JDM in my parlay.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I love Bilal. But dude, I wouldn't say that I like am like super believing that he's going to win, but I can totally see it, and I think it's very plausible. And I see a lot of situations and how Bilal gets got. Like I don't know if you saw that the Gilbert Burns fight is the biggest one that I think of with how Jack Maddalena, like he's somewhere like I think like 66% takedowns defended or something like that. And like he just berates people when they come in on those takedowns. Like he goes straight for the chin. That's exactly what caught Gilbert Burns. I kind of see the fight ending in a similar way. Like every way that I've gone over it, I'm like, I do think that Bilal's crazy good though. I see Bilal winning more than likely, but I think I had JDM at like plus something
He
plus
was yeah,
205.
he
Yeah.
was plus. He's dropped a lot. I just re-updated. I always like to re-update the odds right before we go in, just to have the latest. But he's dropped quite a bit because earlier on he was plus, I think, like 220, and then he kind of came down. So should be interesting. The question I wanted to ask you, the embedded question from before. So I saw something on Twitter about his fight plan being leaked on one of the embedded videos. Did you see that? And if it's true, are you concerned about
What,
that?
like in the background, or they
Yeah,
just straight
it
up
was
said?
like on a whiteboard or something
Oh
in the
wow,
background.
I didn't see that at all. JDM's?
Yeah,
Oh wow, wow. I did not know that, and I did not see that. But if
if I can
that
pull it up.
happened, I guarantee you Bilal's looking at it,
Yeah,
and you can only hope as a JDM fan or someone who put JDM in their parlay like myself that maybe there's like some 3D chess going on and it's a fake game plan or some stupid like that. Because I need to find the clip or something. Because
here it is. You can't really see it, but episode one looks like pretty later on. He says jab x jab, uppercut, jab x kick, feint, jab x hook. I don't know. I don't know what
okay,
this means, but
yeah, it's like it's kind of tough for that to even be like called really a game plan. Those are just sound like his combinations,
yeah,
and I think I think if there's anything that Bilal's expecting, it's for JDM to punch him. So I don't know how much this would help him, but hell, if it does, it does. I think the more crazier thing that's happened is, and maybe this might just be me, maybe this might just be another Shane just on the opposite end of all MMA fans' takes, but JDM during that press conference, half of his answers just made him so unlikable.
Really?
Like he was just one of those guys. Like he said something about like how they were talking to Bilal, asking him about Ian Gary's kid who came up and interviewed him. Like Ian Gary's like 1-year-old kid, and like JDM like brings up the mic and he's just like, "Yeah, I don't think it's his kid. I don't think it's his kid, by the way. If you know what I'm
Oh
saying."
yeah, I saw. I did see
I'm
something about
like,
that.
dude, and he's just like saying stuff like that throughout the thing that it's like it's trash talk kind of, but it's just like it's just mid trash talk, I guess. And Bilal does the same thing. I'm not saying Bilal's immune to it. He does it all the fucking time. But
Bilal's
JD,
interactions with fans were hilarious. I think they did one before, and the guy was like, "Do you think you could beat me in the street by decision?"
yeah, I saw that one,
Yeah,
dude. But the what I mainly want is it's just like JDM's like an Australian going against a hated UFC guy, a hated UFC champion. Like the fact that he didn't go in there and just absolutely like I don't know how to put it, but how the kids say, like, how he didn't aura farm while he was out there. Like he just went out there and just gave the either lamest or just the most unlikable answers to every question, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Interesting. Maybe he's trying to somewhat replace Bilal as like that champ
I
that no one likes. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah.
So, so both JDM, I'm pretty surprised on that. I think, I mean, in my point of view, I'm just kind of trying to be optimistic. I don't want Bilal to win. I don't know. I feel like we gotta this division. There's so many like this is a weird division because it's I don't know. There's just we have Leon and Kamaro still kind of clogging up the top. Sean Brady's exciting, but he lost to Bilal. Shavkat's been hurt. It's just kind of a weird top of the division right now.
I think it's a
Buckley is
very
on his way
exciting
up.
division because
Yeah.
you got Buckley, you got Gary, you got Shavkat. I really don't think Kamaru Usman's beating Buckley. If that happens, holy shit, this division is going to get a little bit more boring. But not that I don't like Kamaru Usman. I just think him being in that same cycle is just gonna slow down the division. It's gonna be him versus a Leon Edwards, or like him for some reason getting a title challenge like Colby
Yeah.
Covington. Like when Colby Covington got that title shot against Leon Edwards, I don't think that was the moment that made me not a Leon Edwards fan, not even at any of his fault. Just like I was just like, wow, it's so hard to be like, yeah, my guy beat Colby Covington after a 2-year hiatus when he came in looking just terrible. Like Colby Covington looked so bad in that fight, so bad, and
Yeah.
didn't fight anyone to get there. But
Yeah, that's what I feel like some of the time like I think they've actually done a better job at giving title shots to people who deserve it. Like
that's what I mean. Is it's like a Sean
Chimaev had
Strick.
to earn it. Yeah.
This
I
feels
mean,
like a Sean Strickland, this Jack Maddalena versus Bilal Muhammad. Obviously, well, no, it's kind of because it was Israel's Adesanya's first defense after getting the title, so it's like it's Bilal's first after getting it a second time, but from
yeah.
Pereira, but it's like I think he could be overlooking JDM and kind of just seeing. He says that he's not in all of his media answers, but I don't know. I think he might be undervaluing, maybe not overlooking, but underestimating how good he really is going to be, like or could be.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, Bilal has been knocked out once back in the day. He was
back in the
to
day,
take 2 decision losses. So, what do you think for the narrative like of JDM winning? Do you think it has to be a knockout? Or do you think JDM can pull a decision in 5 rounds over Bilal?
no, yeah, it would have to be a knockout, almost assuredly. I don't know JDM's cardio that well. I want to say he hasn't been in a 5-round fight, unless his Gilbert Burns fight was 5
I
rounds.
mean,
I
it might
want
have
to
been
say
5 rounds, but I think he ended that one early. I'll take a
he
look.
also ended it early. Yeah, exactly. So I don't like the looks of that. Any fighter that I haven't seen go the distance, it's scary to bet on it, especially when I haven't seen them like there wasn't much on the embedded about like him like cardio's my thing. Like don't worry, if I go to the distance, it's gonna be
Yeah.
raps for
The
him.
Gilbert Burns fight was in the 3rd round, a knockout, and then he had 2 decisions besides that, it's been, first round stuff. So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. All right, so we'll wrap up there, and now it's time to give our official UFC 315 betting cards. Sounds like you went back to your old strategy of just the one parlay. So go ahead, give it to us.
I'll just give it to you straight up. We got Navajo Stirling minus 265. Jasmine, long ass last name. Not even gonna try. Minus 280. Charles Radtke doing this one for America. Freaking plus 170. Had Benoit, but obviously that got canceled. It's a new one, so that one's not on mine. Alexa Grasso plus 160. Eamon Zahibi plus 185. Valentina Shevchenko plus 105. Jack Maddalena plus 205, and I put $2.26 to win at 1,300.
Whoa! So we could be making hell of money. All right, I respect it. Best of luck. As usual, I give them my 5 picks. So looking at the prelims, grabbing that underdog Silva money line plus 125, just an underdog to root for. Besides that, I got a parlay with some one pick 'em, 2 favorites, Bukauskas, Malott, Aldo. I don't really love that parlay looking at it now, but we're going to take it regardless. Next one, Bukauskas and Cutelaba on the under, and Malott and Radtke on the under. I think both those fights will end early.
That's good.
So I had some success with the under rounds last card, so I'm trying to stick to my ways there. Next one, the distance parlay. We got Aldo Zahibi to go the distance, Grasso Silva to go the distance, and then Katona Almakhan, the first fight of the night on the over. So that could be dead very early. If not, we're going to have to wait a while. But I got some hope in that one. Last one, my favorite and really number one pick of the night, Valentina straight up money line. Besides that, I've given some other picks here and there throughout the fights. But that'll do it. UFC 315 has been in the books. Thank you so much once again for joining me. Shane, anything still streaming on Twitch? I think I've seen recently.
Yeah, I'll be streaming from time to time. Yeah, I've been streaming from time to time. I've been thinking about doing some UFC stuff soon, like creating a YouTube channel myself or something, but we'll see.
Dope. Yeah, I mean, I'll put your link in the description. I think Instagram too, you wanted last time. Anything else you want to promote before we head out here?
Just Twitch, Lil Shizzy, and my Instagram, Shane Crosby. Yeah, check me out. Say what's up. Tell me how bad my takes are, please.
Yeah. Our mutual friend once again declined the invitation, but maybe one of these times we can get the panel. Yeah. we can get the panel going. Maybe International Fight Week will have like a crazy panel.
Dude, international. Yeah. I'll try and pull some, might even be able to get our other one, Joe.
Okay. All right, so exciting stuff on the horizon. We'll be back for hopefully be back for UFC 316. Talk about how our picks went on this card. As always, guys know the content stays flowing. So subscribe, like, check out Shane's Twitch and Instagram, and we'll see you in the next one.